face that he had on the back of his head was both intelligent and awful to him. Whenever Edward Mordrake would cry, his second face would smile and sneer at him. So it would literally make fun of him whenever he was sad or was crying. It would keep him up all night long saying terrible things to him. He was tired all the time, and every day he was getting more and more sad. So he was eventually driven mad and unfortunately died at the age of 22. That is so young, 22 years old. Now it gets creepier. He left a note behind asking for the face to be destroyed after he died. His note literally said, "Lest it continue its dreadful whispering in my grave." So he did not want to be buried in the ground with this second face still attached to him. Now that story probably sounds super fake, right? Like there's no way that could be true. But in 1896, famous American doctors named George M. Gold and Walter L. Pyle included Edward Mordrake's story in their book called Anomalies and Curiosities of Medicine. And this book was basically filled with peculiar medical cases that people had never seen before, especially back in the 1800s when medical care wasn't that great. They would put all of their strange cases, like people who would go to freak shows, into this book. Now these doctors were super credible and highly successful back in the 1800s. So because Edward Mordrake's case was in their book, people thought it must be real. Actual doctors are saying it was real. Well, in 2018, a photo supposedly depicting the remains of Mordrake's head went viral on the internet. People saw this picture and thought it was the actual head of Edward Mordrake with the tiny face on the back. But then scientists did some research and found out that this head was actually fake. It's just paper mache made by an artist who was trying to make what would have looked like Edward Mordrake's head. There's also a famous photograph that I've been showing that people have said is actually Edward Mordrake, but even this is done in wax and isn't actually the real photograph of him, especially because he was from the 1800s. You wouldn't get a photograph that looked like this. So my question to you guys is, do you think that Edward Mordrake actually existed? Do you think that someone could actually have a normal functioning talking face at the back of their head that could torment them? What's interesting is that American Horror Story actually included Edward Mordrake's story in one of their seasons called Freak Show. In the show, Edward Mordrake's face did drive him insane, but then he was put into an insane asylum and then eventually joined a freak show where he felt more comfortable.